Today's topic of conversation is my review of the Italian Formula E-Prix. The Rome E-Prix, the first ever race in Italy, the Holy City. A pretty solid race. This is a pretty late review. It's a week on since the race. I've been really busy this week. We launched the Formula E podcast. The Formula E show went down really well with you guys. So thank you for all the support on that. It's already the most viewed Formula E video on this channel, which is great to see. And I've already had loads of you guys asking to come on the show, which is mad. We went through the race a little bit in that podcast, so this review might be a bit shorter than normal, but we've still got a race to review. And like I said a minute ago, for a first ever race in the country, was not a bad start. Going into the weekend, the drivers love the track layout, the commentators love the track layout, everyone seemed to be really up for this race. Personally, it wasn't as a spectacle as I thought it was going to be, mainly because the barriers were so high. We didn't get to see much of the surrounding scenery because it was such a street circuit, so compact. Even just the grid moving to the start line, they had to go off the track through an alley behind some buildings. It was pretty weird, and something I've never seen in motor racing before, but it was great to see new, fresh beginnings in a new country for the sport, and it was so different to Italian Grand Prix we've seen in the past. San Marino, I know it's a San Marino, but that has been held as the Italian Grand Prix in different categories before. Monza, obviously, is the most famous, I would say, of any Italian race, and here we have the Rome E-Prix, and that's completely different to all of them. So we went into this race, high hopes. Jean-Eric Vergne really smashing it in the championship. Rosenqvist and Bird, the only two that could really push and catch him. And in qualifying, Rosenqvist would be the quickest man of all, followed by Bird. Vergne didn't even make it into the Super Pole shootout. So, big opportunity for points for both Bird and the Mahindra driver, Felix Rosenqvist. Good start from those two. Held position with Mitch Evans in third place. Bit of squabbling in the midfield. I think it was Mortara squeezing Lopez into the wall. We had contact between Buemi and Andre Lotterer on the opening lap. Alex Lynn, he made contact and pretty much ruined his race pretty much from the get-go. But then the big contact happened. The full course yellow came out. Heifeld, Turvey, Filippi and Mortara into the hairpin. A complete pile-up. Beautiful stuff. I don't believe any of them continued, at least Heifeld and Turvey. For sure, I'm pretty sure they didn't. They didn't really cover that. They didn't really mention that because once that full course yellow came out, pit stop into the box. Sam Bird, Felix Rosenqvist, the first to react. Consequently, that meant they were one lap down on energy from the likes of Mitch Evans, Andre Lotterer, Lucas Di Grassi, Daniel Abt. Those four were in the fight. Sebastian Buemi as well at that point was also very much in the fight for that podium. So, pit stops are done. The order remains pretty much the same. Then, lap 22, Felix Rosenqvist, race leader, hits the curb too aggressively. Left rear gone, exploded. Forget the left rear, forget Felix Rosenqvist's chance of points. He's out on the spot. Bird inherits the lead. Mitch Evans inherits P2. Lotterer inherits P3. Madness. Absolute madness. Second time this season, Rosenqvist has been on for the lead and it's been snatched away from him. And I've said different times, I think Rosenqvist is the best driver in Formula E. I think definitely each weekend a different driver's the best man on that particular day, and Lucas Di Grassi also is a class driver, but Rosenqvist, I feel, he hasn't won the most races. He's third in the championship now, but I think if he had won those two races, he's the most consistent driver in not the best car on the grid. You look at his teammate, Nick Heifeld, an experienced Formula 1 driver, and yes, he's getting on a bit now, nowhere near the skills he used to have, but he's consistently outperforming him every weekend, absolutely smashing him in the points. So, Rosenqvist, so unlucky for him, but like I say, it would be Bird who would inherit the lead. But after a bit of a reshaping, some overtakes here and there in the midfield, we had an absolute titanic battle for P1 between Sam Bird, Mitch Evans and Lucas Di Grassi. What a fight it was. Three of the sport's arguably best drivers. Obviously, like I said, Rosenqvist wasn't there, Verne wasn't there. But those three, especially Mitch Evans this weekend, very, very promising, very, very strong. Bird eventually would get away due to Evans using his energy up a bit unwisely, a bit uncarefully. Consequently, meant Evans went from a race-winning position all the way down to P9, second to last lap. Energy just went, elevating Lucas Di Grassi to P2, elevating Andre Lotterer to P3. The race would remain in that order, and it would be a second win of the season for Sam Bird. Di Grassi, podium again. Andre Lotterer, his second point score of the season, his second podium. So Lotterer seems to be the most inconsistent driver on the whole grid, in my opinion. He's been nowhere most of the season, but the two races he has, he's been on the podium and looked very solid. This weekend, I do have to point out, Lotterer's dirty driving was clear, for sure. Illegal blocking, 24/7 it felt like. Wasn't nice to see. Really, really wasn't from Andre Lotterer, and was a bit gutted, actually, because he is one of the, well, I don't want to say the older guys, because he's not the oldest by any means, but more experience for sure. So, not great to see. But let's go through the top 10 for the Rome E-Prix. Bird P1, Di Grassi P2, and Andre Lotterer P3. Daniel Abt just missed out on the podium in P4, and Jean-Eric Verne, after a very difficult weekend, P5. Sebastian Buemi in P6. Difficult weekend again for the Renault Edams, but still scoring points for that team. P7 for Dragon, Jerome D'Ambrosio, a great race for him, contender for driver of the day for sure. P8 Mauro Engel for Venturi, P9 Mitch Evans after his energy ran out, and P10 Eduardo Mortara, making contact twice but still finishing in the points. Looking at the driver's standings, it's Jean-Eric Verne who still leads only by 18 points now over Sam Bird for the DS Virgin Racing. Both of those on 119 and 101 points. Third is Felix Rosenqvist, 82 points he has got, which has meant he's an absolute mile behind Bird and Verne, and it'll be very difficult for him to catch up in the final remaining rounds. Fourth is Sebastian Buemi on 60 points, nearly double that, and that's Jean-Eric Verne's total. That is an absolute madness considering how consistent Buemi has been over the past two seasons, but you've got to think Renault, they're leaving the sport, and so this year was never going to be a title-winning year, and so he's going to be gutted with how this year's gone. But with Nissan next year, he might be able to claw that back for a second World Championship. P5, Daniel Abt with 50 points. He'll be happy with that, I think. Bit gutted he lost that win in China, but he can bounce back, and he's been very consistent over the season. P6, Nelson Piquet for Jaguar. P7, Mitch Evans for Jaguar. 45 and 43 points, very, very close between those two. P8, Lucas Di Grassi, a good comeback he is having in the second part of the season. P9, Andre Lotterer on 33 points, and rounding out the top 10 in the driver's standings is Oliver Turvey for the Neo Boys. So, that is my review for the Italian E-Prix. The next one is in Paris, one of the arguably big five races in Formula E. Should be a fantastic race. Before we leave, I just want to give you my driver of the day, and that honour goes to Mitch Evans. Yes, like I said, he did bottle it in terms of energy usage, but the driving shown from him, the level, the step up he provided this weekend was monstrous. I've got to give a shout out as well to Lucas Di Grassi. He had a phenomenal race as well. Sam Bird controlling it at the front. Potentially, Jerome D'Ambrosio coming from pretty much the back of the grid up to P7. That was a solid race as well. But Mitch Evans really impressed me this weekend. Some great defensive manoeuvres, attacking manoeuvres. And if it wasn't for those careless final laps, then for sure, 100% he'd be the driver of the day. But for me, just edges it over Lucas Di Grassi. But it's very close, and I'd love to know who your driver of the day was, if you can remember. Obviously, like I said, it's been quite a while. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully, you have enjoyed today's review. Like I said, next race is Paris, so all looking forward to that one. If I do a quick prediction, which I don't think I've done is a prediction, I'm going to guess that'll be a Jean-Eric Vergne win in his home country. Jean-Eric Vergne pole and win. That's what I'm going to guess. Hopefully, fingers crossed that's correct. So I want to know your driver of the day and your predictions for the Paris E-Prix. Thank you very much for watching. If you could like, subscribe and hit that notification bell, that would be very much appreciated. Guys, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.